And we're live! Hi, and welcome to both of your Botha Rants. My name is Sophia Botha. Welcome to... Shit, I've already fucked up the intro. Let me do that again. Hi, my name is Sophia Botha. Welcome to Botha Rants, the YouTube stream where we go through all the latest LGBTQ and political news of interest, or at least interest to me. Okay, a couple of parish notices before we begin. Yes, I did say on the last stream I was going to get an interview with Aria de Meslo, who you might, if you're a regular listener to this or watcher, sorry, of this stream, you might know who is a friend of mine who was recently arrested by the FBI on indictments concerning selling Bitcoin. Unfortunately, she's not very well at the moment, so I'm not going to, harass her for an interview right now. Also, I did get an interview with my friend Tempest Crane. Interview. We recorded a conversation we had. That should be up in the next few days, hopefully. She wants to edit some stuff out of that conversation, which is, I perfectly have no problem with that. That's for our own security. Anyways, on with today's show. Cheryl Gideon, who was a Tory MP, died on Monday, and I shed no tears. I mourn her loss not. And I know there's going to be Tories grinding their fucking teeth. How dare you disrespect, how dare you spit on the Tories' graves? Yeah, like the Tories give a shit about killing over 100,000 disabled people, with their welfare reform, program. Yeah? I've had this conversation, with Terry the Tory troll, who, for those who aren't regular viewers of this stream, might not know, was somebody a few years ago who used to cyber stalk me around every fucking blog I ever wrote for. And he really didn't like it when I spat on the grave of Tories. Despite the fact that this was a guy who thought it was just that the police shot Charles Dimenez, who was the Brazilian electrician mistaken for a terrorist, and who Keir Starmer refused to prosecute the police for basically shooting an innocent man when he was director of public prosecutions, because on the basis that Terry seemed to think that he was an illegal immigrant, which he wasn't. Basically, he has no problem with the police shooting immigrants because he's a racist cunt. And also, when it came to the welfare reform program, killing disabled people, after the 2008 financial crash and the fact that the Tories, rather than footing the bill on their banker chums who were the ones who crashed the world economy with their reckless fucking behaviour, he just went, well, it's collateral damage. Well, okay, fine. If you're going to take that attitude to defenceless fucking disabled people, being killed to pay for, the mistakes of bankers, then fuck Tories, fuck any Tory who dies. I don't give a shit, okay? I mean, the thing is, she'll just be replaced by another Tory cunt, and who'll, be as just as ruthless and nasty towards, the sick, vulnerable, and the disabled, in our society, and the poor, of course. That's, the typical Tory way. I just don't, I really don't give a shit. As far as I'm concerned, one Tory, drops dead, several hundred to go. And, the thing is, a lot of Tories just can't, Tory voters just can't, deal with the fact that they've got blood on their hands. They're the ones who vote for these cunts. And, and it's these cunts who help kill, people who have done no wrong other than just being fucking born. I'm sorry, I do really get angry about this because, as I said, and I mean, a lot of Tory voters I've had, where do you get these figures from? Well, some people there are different estimates, and I'm going to go on to one which actually says possibly more than 100,000 disabled people have been killed due to welfare reform. And let us not also forget that sure, there was going to be several tens of thousands of people who are going to die of COVID, unfortunately. But the COVID death figures have been inflated because of Tory incompetence. Let us not forget that either. I mean, there's a lot of people saying, how can the Tories allow 130,000 people die of COVID? Well, as I said, they killed over 100,000 disabled people. And let us not also forget that we've had 2 UN reports in the last 10 years, condemning the Tory government's treatment of disabled people. Yeah. I stick up for disabled people. I am a disabled person. And I don't, maybe some Tories should try and see it from my fucking point of view, That when I sing, basically, people who, as I say, are being condemned to death just for being born, the way they are, then, maybe you could try and fucking understand it. But obviously, asking a Tory to have fucking empathy is near and fucking possible, is it? They expect me to have empathy towards, Tories dropping dead. Yeah, they won't have fucking empathy for the fact that they're helping to kill fucking disabled people. Yeah. I am serious, this is a subject which is, close to the bone for me. So anyways, as I said, there's going to be a by-election. I doubt the Liberal Democrats or Labour are going to flip the seat. I mean, for fuck's sake, Labour are likely to lose the Hartlepool by-election. And that should be a safe Labour fucking seat. Yes, as I said, some people estimate that there's been more than 100,000 people, disabled people, who have been killed by austerity and welfare reform. This is an article from 2019, and basically it goes into the Tories' record over the past decade when it comes to disabled people. So let's have a listen.
2 leading disabled campaigners have delivered stark messages about the impact of a decade of austerity on disabled people, including the deaths of countless benefit claimants and the unprecedented loss of user-led organizations. Professor Peter Beresford, co-chair of Shaping Our Lives, and Richard Reeser, founder and coordinator of Disability History Month, DHM, were speaking at DHM's launch event in central London on Monday. This year's DHM, the 10th annual celebration of disabled people's history and culture, is focusing on disabled leaders and resistance. Beresford told the event that organizations led by disabled people and service users, and mental health survivor organizations, were under threat as never before and closing at an unprecedented rate. He said, "The minds and rethinks cozy up to government, and accept their aggressive policies, yet say they speak for us, and our own organizations and initiatives are increasingly being made insecure."
The other thing I've actually heard from disabled advocacy groups for disabled people is that the Tories actually just don't want to listen now. Yeah, first of all, there was this sort of perspective that if you could try and talk and reason with the Tories, but they just don't. The Tories just don't want to be. They don't want to listen to reason. They don't want to listen to compassion. The Tories are ideologically wedged to basically fucking on the most vulnerable people in society so that they can give tax breaks to their fucking wealthy chums. Basically the Tories are a bunch of sociopaths. And actually, I'll go further, psychopaths. They actually carry out their fucking, murderous fucking fantasies.
Closing and lost. Our voices are being taken from us. Our chances for resistance and change closed off. We must... our chances of resistance. Well, the Tories, of course, with the policing bill, want to take the right to protest away, which includes the right of disabled people to protest what's been happening to them. I have previously covered an article from the same Disability News Service site, explaining that the policing bill would stop disabled people, basically protesting, stop murdering us. This is a definite, slide into fucking fascism. This is where we're going. Let's not forget that it was when the Nazis when the Nazis started murdering people, mass slaughter. It was disabled people who were the first victims. It was disabled people who were first put into gas chambers. When they started experimenting with that sort of, horrendous, bullshit. Fight together to resist this. We must make this a public issue. We must band together. He said he was proud to be involved in both the mental health service users/survivor movement and the broader disabled people's movement, and said that it was important to build the links between the two movements because of the shared discrimination and oppression that we have faced. But he said it was not possible to address discrimination and the devaluing of disabled people in society without addressing the appalling consequences of so-called welfare reform. He said this had affected all disabled people but had hit survivors of the mental health system in a particular way and had driven many to think of killing themselves, and too many to actually do so. Beresford also said that the emergence of the Mad Studies movement had provided the survivor movement with its own expression of the social model of disability and the philosophy of independent living. He said, "We have stood the medical model of mental illness on its head. We have rejected it and all its biomedical and genetic trappings. Instead, we are highlighting the social oppression and exclusions that we face. We have taken over the language of madness that has so long been used to oppress us." He said this felt like a break with the medicalized past and the reliance on sledgehammer drugs and pressure to force us into any paid work, however damaging it may be, and the emphasis on control, compulsion, coercion, and institutionalization. Risa told the event that there was a wall between disabled people and the rest of society.
You see, my family rejected me not because I was trans, but because I was disabled. They seem to think that, all disabled people should be put in institutions. And there still are Tories who think that. But the thing is, right, conservatives might think, that disabled people belong in institutions, but they don't want to fucking pay for it. Yeah, that's that's the hypocritical, ironic twist.
He said, that wall is what we are about in Disability History Month, looking at the lessons of the past and how people have challenged it, where we are now, what we need to do in the future to get rid of that wall. He compared the events that took place in Nazi Germany, which, under Hitler's Action T4 program, led to the murder of as many as 275,000 disabled people, with the impact of austerity on disabled people. He said the Nazis' view of disabled people as a burden was on a par with the events of the last decade, which have seen countless deaths due to austerity cuts.
Yeah, and people like Ian Duncan Smith, who was the architect of the welfare reform program, I think has charges of crimes against humanity to answer to. He should be in Parliament. He shouldn't be on fucking television. He should be in the fucking dock at the fucking Hague. That's kind of how I feel about this. Yeah, and people think I'm being unreasonable. Fuck you. How can you defend tens of thousands of people being systematically fucking murdered, because of the greed of bankers? Yeah, how the fuck can you defend that, huh? Yeah, fuck you. So, talking about Tories and being asinine, Boris Johnson is urged to sack Tory peer who denied COVID pandemic and said Chinese fake videos started this. Fuck me. It's why is it always with the right wing that they're the ones always in denial about COVID-19? Well, it's because they're the ones who aren't capable of compassion. I mean, look, all people are being asked to be is a bit more considerate towards other people, and by wearing a mask and washing their hands and socially distancing. Sure, I think that possibly the extension of the lockdown isn't actually needed now because of vaccine rollout, and also I think I was talking, funny enough, the last time I talked to Harry, who is a libertarian who has opposed sort of the lockdown mandates, and I did speak to that. I said that Jeremy Corbyn had opposed the extension of the lockdowns, not because he didn't think COVID wasn't serious, but because we now see that the extra powers the police have been given have been used to basically oppress the right to protest. And you can protest safely, with COVID-19 in mind. We saw that at the Clapham vigil for Sarah Everard. That they were wearing masks, they were socially distancing, and in fact it was the police who probably made things worse when it came to COVID-19, by kettling those fucking protesters, thus bringing people nearer to one another, which there probably will be a spike of COVID cases due to that because of the police action. And of course, the police, said that they were bringing, they had to quell that protest because of COVID-19. Well, they're the ones who've made it fucking worse. Anyways, the thing is, it is generally the right wing who have either basically, referred to, as Donald Trump says, the China plague, when it comes to COVID-19, or are in complete and utter fucking denial that COVID-19 is for real, right? And it's because they're being asked to be a bit more compassionate, being a bit more considerate towards others, and fucking right-wingers are just fucking incapable of doing that, right? They are. I've just gone through a whole load of stuff about, the fact that they've just pissed and shat and killed fucking disabled people, and so why is it such a surprise that they don't give a shit about killing people with COVID-19? Huh? Yeah. because it always reminds me of there's a lot of like right wing libertarians who don't believe in man-made climate change, right? And the reason why they don't believe in support man-made that there's man-made climate change isn't because there's science to say that it's bullshit, because 99.9% of fucking evidence says no, man-made climate change is for real. It's because they don't want to have to change their behaviour and surrender some of their liberty, to save the fucking planet. They just don't give a shit. They can't see 2 inches in front of their fucking nose, right? And this is basically the same deal. So, anyways, Helena Morrissey, a director at the Foreign Office, suggested that the crisis had been exaggerated because people are dropping dead. Exaggerated because people are not dropping dead in the street. Yeah, this is the other thing I've heard from right wingers that 98% of people survive COVID-19. That's not the fucking point. The point is that a lot of people might survive it, but they're going to get a lot of people are going to get infected, and that is going to swamp the healthcare systems. We saw that when COVID-19 hit the shores of Europe, we saw that the Italian healthcare system, which is better than the British healthcare system, nearly collapsed in having to deal with COVID-19, dealing with cases of COVID-19. Right? That's the point. It's the amount of people who are going to get infected and end up in fucking hospital. That's what we're trying to fucking stop. Yeah? Not just deaths. People just... the data shows we are not in a pandemic, tweeted the peer, who has sent to the House of Lords by Boris Johnson last year. And here's the other thing with Boris Johnson, right? He... what's her name? The MP for Hastings and Rye, I think I know her surname's Hart. I think it's Marianne Hart, who's a complete and utter fucking nut. Yeah, she's like on par with fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene over in the States. Jewish laser woman, and he has defended her. In some of the shit like that she's. This MP for Hastings and Rye said that Muslims were turning people trying to turn people into trans people. What the fuck? It's that sort of lunacy. Yeah. As I said, she's on par with Marjorie Taylor Greene. If people are dropping dead in the street, we would notice and not go to M&S and have all those football matches. For fuck's sake. Baroness Morrissey then made claims that the role played by the Chinese Communist Party, adding the CCP fake videos started this. It is ridiculous. No! What the Communist Party of China did was try to fucking cover it up. We know this. That's what they did. They tried to cover it up. Yeah? That was part of the fucking problem in the first place in dealing with it. Because it is not the first time that, a SARS-like, flu-like, whatever, influenza, virus has started in China. So, yeah. And, the comments have been condemned by health experts and families of coronavirus victims, and Labour with demands that the Prime Minister discipline her. Wow, Labour actually asking Tories to discipline a Tory minister. Jeez, I'm shocked, considering that Keir Starmer, despite all the opportunities he's had, refused to demand that Boris Johnson sack Matt Hancock, the health secretary, because he broke the law in rewarding PPE contracts to chums of his. Yeah, this is just this is the people we've been governed by, right? Can I just point that out? Yeah, are you happy with this? Because I'm not. But Labour, well, we'll go on to Labour. So, as we know, Keir Starmer last week visited the Jesus House Church, which spouts homophobic rhetoric. Well, Boris Johnson has also... Well, actually, Theresa May visited that particular church back in 2017. And now Boris Johnson visited there last month. Well, the thing is, right, I'm not surprised that Boris Johnson did. He doesn't give a shit about LGBTQ people. We know this. So why should it be such a surprise? The only thing is, because obviously some people are going to say, well, why do you expect Keir Starmer to apologise and not Boris Johnson? Well, because Labour supposedly speaks, has generally over the last few recent decades supposedly spoken up for LGBTQ people. So there's an expectation, that they don't go and endorse a homophobic church. Whereas the Tories, well, there's plenty of homophobes on the Tory benches, and it doesn't surprise me. That's the point. I don't know if I've made that clear, but as I said, you don't expect Labour to be to endorse homophobia and transphobia. But but when it comes to the Tories, nothing surprises you. So I can't say I'm fucking surprised. Though, I kind of think there are LGBTQ people who vote Tory. And, let's not forget that generally, over the past decade, the Tories have generally been a bit more socially liberal. David Cameron, particularly, seemed to want to court the LGBTQ vote. And, he did, extend, the franchise of same-sex marriage. And, obviously I applaud him for that. And he actually, Cameron has said that was one of his crowning glories as Prime Minister. Sure, there's a lot of shit, including welfare reform, which, I will condemn Cameron for. But, when it came to LGBTQ people, I was fairly certain that, Cameron was pro-LGBTQ. And Theresa May, to a certain extent, followed that, but obviously did visit this fucking church, but did apologise for doing so. Whereas Boris Johnson, doesn't give a shit, and basically you have the fucking Downing Street fucking spin doctors fucking defending it rather than just fucking apologising. So, talking of Keir Starmer's, and I did report about this in the last stream I did, about Keir Starmer and his visit to Jesus House, which is a church which espouses homophobic bullshit. He has apologised. Labour leader Keir Starmer has finally apologised for making an Easter visit to the notorious homophobic church Jesus House in London. The leader has faced blistering criticism since sharing a social media video. Well, it was basically a photo opportunity, wasn't it? Of his visit to the Barnet-based church on the Friday, the 2nd of April, which of course was Good Friday. Starmer described, because supposedly being crucified is a good thing. Still don't work that one out, but anyways. Starmer described Jesus House as a wonderful example of a church serving its local community and the coronavirus pandemic. To LGBT plus people, however, the church is a place with a troubling track record on LGBT plus rights, and whose pastor is one of marriage equality's most outspoken opponents. There had been a growing chorus of calls for Starmer to apologise since he made his ill-fated visit. They culminated earlier this afternoon, 5th of April, which was Monday, when the party's LGBT plus arm, LGBT plus Labour, demanded the leader publicly say sorry. Did they actually publicly? Wow. Oh no, let's just click on. So the LGBT plus Labour did actually, well, because the thing is, right, they sort of first of all basically said they were disappointed, and I remember Owen Jones basically saying, you know, there were a bunch of careerist hacks who don't really give a shit. I would imagine there would have been possibly some pressure put. I mean, some pressure put on LGBT plus Labour to demand a fucking apology from Keir Starmer. Our full statement in the light of the comments today from a shadow cabinet member that attempted to. Oh yeah, this is to do with Rachel Reeves, right? Who went on Sky News and tried to defend Keir Starmer visiting this particular homophobic church, and it was fucking cringe. Yeah, I covered that on Monday. The video should be deleted for and the public. Wow, more strongly worded than I would think. Wow. The good that LGBT plus Labour have, you know, put pressure on Starmer to apologise. Taking to a Twitter at the convenient time of 9:09 p.m, Keir Starmer finally explained that he was not aware of the church's relentless anti-LGBT plus beliefs until after his visit. Well, you see, that I find that fucking hard to believe, actually. Because if you just did a fucking quick Google search, and Owen Jones pointed this out, you would have found out that they were fucking homophobic. I mean, what the fuck is going on with it? The fucking, you know, they've got fucking researchers and bots to find shit like this out. Yeah? You kind of think that, you know, if Keir Starmer wants to be, electorally competent, that they would do their fucking homework, you know, for shit. I mean, I'm sure that they made sure that all the shots were lit right for him at this fucking Jesus house. Well, maybe they should have found out. Jesus, yeah. Now here's his actual apology. And here's my, I completely disagree with Jesus House's beliefs on LGBT plus rights, which I was not aware of before my visit. I apologise for the hurt my visit caused, and I've taken down the video. It was a mistake, and I accept that. The thing is, it's going to take more than that to convince me that he truly supports LGBT plus people. I mean, this does not, he says that he disagrees with it, but he doesn't actually say he supports LGBT, but he supports LGBT plus people. Well, he says I completely disagree with Jesus House's beliefs on LGBT plus rights, but he doesn't actually say that. Well, I mean, I guess you could say he does, but it's just going to take, because I mean, he has had opportunity after opportunity to support LGBT plus rights, particularly trans rights. And, every time he's had an opportunity to support trans rights, he has basically sat on the fucking fence. So, it's going to take a lot that. And I'm not the only person who's questioning this, funny enough. So, Keir Starmer's apology for homophobic church visit is genuinely welcome for some and too late for others. Yeah. Labour Party leader Keir Starmer apologised Monday evening, 5th of April, for visiting an anti-LGBT plus church called Jesus House, and the response was, well, mixed. Yeah. The apology tweet was sent out at 9:09 p.m, 3 days after the visit to London's Jesus House, affirmed Starmer's support for queer rights. Well, as I said, the jury's out on that one. As he distanced himself from the church's controversial beliefs. It is led by Pastor, I can't pronounce his name, sorry, who has written about his opposition to equality legislation and gay marriage in the past. So yeah, that's the actual apology. Okay, right, all right. I'll give Keir Starmer the benefit of the doubt that he does support LGBT plus equality. But as I say, every time he's, had an opportunity to support trans rights, he sits on the fence. I completely disagree with the Jesus House's beliefs on LGBT plus rights, which I was not aware of before my visit. And as I said, that is not, that is due to his, whichever sort of researcher or person fixer in his leadership didn't do their due diligence, and should be shown the fucking door. I apologise for the hurt my visit caused, and I've taken down the video. It was a mistake, and I accept that. For the party's LGBT plus members, activists and fellow lawmakers, though, it was a grab bag of emotions, relief and wariness towards a statement that some felt was too little too late. Yeah. While others saw it as nothing other than a copybook apology for a politician, that is. It does seem to be that Keir Starmer is a bit of a prefab fucking politician, isn't he? It's like he's brought this sort of like, do you want to be grey, mundane, banal, a politician? Well, pick it up at this store. It seems like that, doesn't it? Thank you, tweeted House of Lords member and venerable LGBT plus activist Michael Cashman. We all make mistakes except our critics, and your statement is a declaration of principles and leadership. Yeah, Keir Starmer's leadership. But for many, what I'm saying is that his leadership qualities are grey, are they? Other than basically doing Peter Mandelson's bidding in fucking purging the fucking party. But anyways, that's another subject. Anyways, but for many, the days long wait for an apology was a tender trigger point. 3 days late, wrote actor David Paisley, if you really wanted to do something positive for the LGBT plus community, you could suspend Rosie Duffield, he added. Yeah, we'll get on to that in a minute. That might help. Later Shadow Cabinet Minister Rachel Reeves earlier justified justification for the trip that Starmer visited might not Starmer visited not the place of worship, but its pop-up vaccination centre. Also left some users irated. This is a genuinely welcome apology, Guardian columnist Owen Jones said. He was Owen Jones, I just think. He basically was quite critical when he first heard about this trip. He was the one who pointed out that if the lady leadership had just done a Google search, cursory Google search, they would have found Jesus House was a homophobic church. But now he's saying, this is a genuinely welcomed apology. Well, yeah, I think Owen, Owen's a good guy. Don't get me wrong. And there's a story about him later, actually. but why on earth did it take 3 days for, and why did Rachel Reeves finally claim on national television? I should actually have fucking read on, should I? Yeah, this is a bit more critical, and this is what we need to hear. I think he's sort of thinking that, with all the crap which Keir Starmer has got for this, that this probably is a genuine welcome apology, but he is critical here. But why on earth did it take 3 days, and why did Rachel Reeves falsely claim on national television that it was just a vaccination site visit? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I saw the video. Wasn't it that they had a food bank as well? Yeah. And he was endorsing he said Starmer said he endorsed the work Jesus House did as a and he wasn't specific about that. So that's the criticism I would make. And basically, Jesus House could basically use that to say, well, Starmer endorses the work we do, including being homophobic, bigoted wankers. LGBT plus people welcome Keir Starmer's apology, but wonder why it took 3 days to come. Because the fucking Labour, the fucking Labour leadership is fucking incompetent, and don't know their arse from their elbow. That's why. As I said, I remain to be convinced. The main reason is as it's mentioned, Rosie Duffield. That's a good point. This is the Labour MP who's spouted continuous bullshit of a transphobic nature, but she's not the only anti-LGBTQ Labour MP who needs to be thrown, who needs to have the whip taken away. I mean, here's the thing, right? So we're getting on to Stephen Timms. Just waiting for the page to load. There we are. Oh shit. Yeah, sorry, got that the wrong way around. There we are. Labour MP Stephen Timms applauds a notoriously homophobic church, Jesus House, despite Keir Starmer apology. Stephen Timms is a Labour MP who's a Christian, evangelical Christian. And when Starmer apologised, he said Stephen Timms then tweeted that he supports Jesus House. Well, he should have the whip taken away for endorsing homophobia, and Rosie Duffield should have the whip taken away, not just for she's for her transphobia, she's also homophobic, because one of her she outed one of her one of the people who worked in her office who was a lesbian, and basically had to go for being a lesbian. So this is not on. Stephen Timms should if he wants he wants to believe that some old crusty book, which he reckons interprets to say LGBTQ people are bad, and because and that this is the word of his mystical non-existent sky daddy. Fine, okay, he has the right to believe that, but should he have the right to be a Labour MP? Methinks not. Labour supposedly are meant to be the party of social justice and equality, and that is social justice and equality for everybody, including LGBTQ people. How? I mean, why do I have to lecture the it's such a fucking disappointment that I have to fucking lecture the fucking Labour Party about equality for LGBT plus people. I never thought I would have to fucking do this. I really didn't. If you asked me 5 years ago. I mean, here's the other thing. Keir Starmer, he's prepared to put up with fucking Stephen Timms blurting out fucking homophobia and fucking Rosie Duffield blurting out fucking transphobia, but he sacks Jeremy Corbyn, he removes the whip, essentially, which is sacky, Jeremy Corbyn from the fucking Parliamentary Labour Party because he tells the fucking truth. Yet, Jeremy Corbyn, stands in solidarity with LGBT plus people, and he has done so since the days you were vilified for doing so. Yeah, I never doubted Jeremy Corbyn's, when it came to speaking up for LGBTQ people, right? Yet, here I am having serious doubts about fucking Keir Starmer. I never thought that would ever be the case with the fucking Labour Party, right? Also, funny enough, talking about an earlier, subject matter, Jeremy Corbyn spoke up, more for disabled people than any other fucking Labour leader I can fucking remember. I mean, has Keir Starmer said anything, supportive of disabled people? I'm just trying to think. Not that I know of. No. And the other thing with Stephen Timms is, some people might remember this, just over 10 years ago, some Islamic fundamentalists tried to kill him at his surgery. He survived, and now he's blowing out homophobic shite. He should have the whip taken away along with Rosie Duffield. That's what Keir Starmer needs to do to start to convince me that he's pro-LGBTQ. And he's sincere about it. Right. So, COVID-19 still rages and the climate crisis worsens, yet TERFs are spending their time projecting homophobic messages onto the floor. Yeah, this is one of Scotland's LGBT plus community organisations has condemned a transphobic message which was projected in Perth's city centre, as you can see here. Stop confusing children. Children aren't confused. You're the ones who are fucking confused. You see, here's the thing, right? That basically there is a conspiracy theory that trans people are trying to brainwash kids into thinking they're trans. That's fucking bullshit. I have always, most trans people would probably take the line I do that people need to find out that they're trans for themselves. I have a policy. I will not help a trans person. I will not support them until they decide they want to transition. Okay, they have to make that fucking decision, right? I will not make them for it. It would be wrong for me to do so. Okay, and I think that is the way to go. So this is just a bullshit. Yeah, and how many have TERFs actually ever spoken to any trans youth? No. The thing is, they seem to think that trans kids can't speak for themselves. That it should be the parents, that should speak for them. Isn't that rather fucking patronising? That's what I expect from fucking conservatives. Yeah. Children do have rights as well. Ironically, it was the Thatcher government who first gave children rights under the Children's Act, the 1989 Children's Act. But anyways, I remember that actually affected me because I was in care at the time. The projected image which appeared on Perth's High Street included the word "Stop confusing children." As I said, it's not the children are confused; it's you. Perthshire Pride dubbed the image yet another example of transphobic messaging from blatantly displaying in your local area. Here's the thing, right? As it says, COVID-19 is still raging and, the climate crisis is getting worse. But, TERFs have got to hate trans people, don't they? Yeah? And they'll get into bed with any, repugnant cunt who, on the far right, who hates trans people just as much as they do, even if it's detrimental to TERFs. Yeah? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but the far right don't tend to be particularly progressive when it comes to gender equality, are they? No, they tend to be misogynistic as fuck. Whew. Yes, I'm pretty fired up today, aren't I? Sorry, I haven't been checking the chat. I'm just gonna check the chat now. Sorry, guys. Hey, yeah. One Tory drops dead. That's two more to take their place. Well, as I say, the Tories will probably win back that seat. So it's yeah. Just looking at the chat here. Joking aside, Keir Starmer does need better advisors. You're right, Ria. But ultimately, Keir Starmer needs to step down. The only two words I want to hear from Keir Starmer is "I resign." There you are. Theresa May and Johnson going. Yep, as I've mentioned that HK. They both paid visits. But you see, the thing is, I kind of expect the Tories to be homophobic and transphobic. I don't expect Labour to be. That's that's the deal. All right. Okay, on with stuff. So TERFs haven't just been doing this bullshit up in Scotland. They've been attacking Owen Jones. Now, just to remind people, I wouldn't say me and Owen Jones are bosom buddies, but I will say that we know of each other, and there's me and Owen. That was taken in 2015 outside a Jeremy Corbyn rally. A Jeremy Corbyn rally, I would add, there was a queue around the block, and there were people trying to get through the windows. I mean, we knew, that's when you kind of knew something's going on here. That Jeremy Corbyn was going to become Labour leader. It was just the matter of how big the margin of victory would be. Owen has been a first class trans ally, and he's had to put up with a lot of grief from fucking turfy fucking transphobic bigots. So, hateful transphobes pile on gay journalist Owen Jones simply for saying he wants to be a dad. We're saddened to report that British journalist Owen Jones became the target of a Twitter transphobes target of Twitter transphobes Sunday the 4th of April for simply saying he wants to be a dad. Hold on. That's not transphobic. That's homophobia. He's gay. I mean, okay, we'll read on. But I would say that's not just obviously they're going to have transphobes are going to have a go at him for being a trans ally. I get that. In just 5 words, Owen Jones, 36, became the lightning rod for countless anti-trans users who sought to point the activist as seemingly the enemy of all progress itself. Saying he wants to be a dad someday. Oh, the horror, the pure horror. Someone stop him, please. For online transphobes, often rolled up by the mere existence of trans folk, this is all it took for them to pile on Jones and seemingly against queer men having children. As I said, that's not just obviously they're going to have a go at him for being a trans ally, but it seems to me that they're being extremely homophobic here. In a Twitter thread, Jones documented how throngs of transphobes mustered to treat a gay parent and a gay man with dreams of being a father as as a shooting gallery for mercilessly attacking tinged with homophobia. In between calling him a misogynist, they took pot shots against trans people because because that's apparently how they spend their weekends instead of say seeing friends, having hobbies, or having an emotionally fulfilling life. Yeah, I mean, the case of Graham Lyman, the creator of Father Ted, well, co-creator actually of Father Ted, and writer of the IT Crowd. You know, we know he has a transphobic obsession. He's lost his wife, he's lost his job, because of his transphobic hate, right? As I said, these people obsessively hate us. It is on par with the most extreme forms of fucking white supremacy, minus the terrorism. So far, you never know. In that they want to blame trans people for fucking everything. For all the ills of the world. Funny, there was another bunch of people who wanted to blame all Jews for all the ills of the world. Oh yeah, that was the Nazis. Yeah, it's getting like that, isn't it? Yeah. And it's in turfy fucking rhetoric. The evidence they have that I am a misogynist is that I support trans rights. Yeah, that's all it fucking takes. Yeah. As far as they're concerned, anyone who supports trans rights is a misogynist. Anything and everything is used to fill this theory. It is a genuine perverse. Yeah, it is. Yeah. All it took was a tweet. I want to be a dad. Owen Jones tweeted the 1st of April during an exchange with a gay friend, Casper Salomon, who became a father through a co-parenting agreement. While the arrangement can mean different things to different folk, you see, the other thing is, right, this exposes something else, that a lot of sort of transphobes now are basically on the far right, and it's not just that they don't want trans people, particularly trans women, having equality. They don't want any section of the LGBTQ community to have equality. Yeah, that's the deal. So none of this fucking surprises me. Anyways, so Lawrence Fox, talking about far right douchebags. So Lawrence Fox recently launched his campaign to be London mayor. In fact, actually, if I quickly look, I can see him perusing. Hold on. Let me just check this out. He's got some election material. He's been. There we are. Yeah, here we are. So this is Lawrence Fox looking over his election material. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, at the launch of his campaign, there was this weird. Just listen to this yourself. It's transphobic.
He cut off his penis and called himself Venus, and now he's a famous fashion designer. Officer, arrest me!
That's a bit weird. Yeah, okay, so there was some guy in support, with a fucking supposedly, some sort of transphobic limerick, but was it Haiku? I don't fucking know. But yeah, whatever. I mean, Lawrence Fox is a shit actor, shit singer, and he ain't going to be London mayor. He's also a fascist douche, but yeah, because he's a fascist. Well, he's not going to be London because he is a fascist douche, yeah. Anyways, just a reminder, Lawrence Fox, is being sued. And this started last year, actually. Or was it early this year? I think it was last year, wasn't it? He's been. I know that he's being sued by various people who he's called LGBTQ people. He's called paedophiles on Twitter. I am surprised actually that Twitter have not actually suspended his account. I mean, he does seem to want to follow in the footsteps of fucking Katie Hopkins in being a far-right troll. And I kind of think, well, if he wants to follow in the footsteps of Katie Hopkins, then, he should be bankrupt, have his Twitter account taken away, and basically ostracised. Yeah. I mean, this is a guy, white, straight, cis-normative Christian wanker who seems to think, he's being a victim, not the fact that he has an awful lot of fucking privilege, which he does. I hope he gets sued to the point he doesn't have a pot to fucking piss in. I mean, going around calling LGBTQ people paedophiles is just despicable and repugnant. In a multicultural, diverse Britain, which despite protestations from various people on the right of British politics, that is Britain now. Okay, learn to live with it, motherfuckers. I mean, probably the best thing we could do with Lawrence Fox is just ignore the cunt. Right. Dearie me. So, there's there were rumours about this. So it appears that it's coming true. Caitlyn Jenner is talking about running for governor of California as a Republican. Despite the fact I've got some stories ahead, basically, illustrating that the Republicans really don't like trans people. They don't. When is it? When are fucking the like? I mean, the thing is, Caitlyn Jenner breathes rarefied air. She's extremely wealthy, thus very privileged. And has no grasp of the fucking reality faced by trans people. She fucking doesn't. Okay. Now, granted, Californian Republicans probably are more liberal than, say, Republicans in the Midwest. But even so, she still seems to think, that the Republican Party are the future for trans people. Fuck off! Even if you take out transphobia, Republicans constantly spouting fucking transphobia out of the fucking equation. Economically, it's detriment. The Republican Party are detrimental to a lot of trans people who are poor and without the adequate fucking healthcare for them to get treatment for gender dysphoria. Yeah. Anyways, so Caitlyn Jenner is considering, the transgender Olympian is talking to people about launching her bid if Governor Gavin Newsom gets recalled. Oh, so there's another recall. So I see. Right. So, do you remember Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he was elected governor of California, it was due to the recall of the previous Democrat governor. A recall is when basically if you get more than enough signatures on a petition, you can basically get a special election. Yeah. And I remember the whole the whole thing with Arnold Schwarzenegger came about, right, because the Democrat governor was trying. There was rolling brownouts in California due to a certain company called Enron. Yeah, remember them? Yes, the biggest corporate fucking fraud. Until that point. Basically, and basically, you see, the Republicans can't deal with fucking democracy, can you? And basically, so, when things don't go their way, they try to basically to basically undermine fucking democracy. Anyway, look, she's the second LGBTQ Republican to show an interest. Jenna, a former Trump supporter, yeah, she has disavowed Trump. I'll give her that. Is one of the best-known trans people in America, but she's not well liked outside the community itself. Well, she's not exactly well liked within the community. She has made waves for her tactless comments and support for the Republican Party, while it relentlessly attacks the trans community. As I say, she has no grasp on reality. While Jenna's management has previously denied that she was interested in running, Axon reports that Jenna has been talking to political consultants to gauge how well she would do. Caroline Way, one of the organisers of the MAGA rally that ended with an insurrection attack on the Capitol building, is reportedly assisting Jenna's... What? Right, so basically, Caitlyn Jenner is getting into bed with the MAGA cult? Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Caitlyn Jenner is not running for governor, has never considered running for governor. Well, this keeps fucking coming up, and I would imagine that she's probably, with the, there's no smoke without a fire, yeah? I'm just going to say that. Fucking hell. Anyways. And as I said, I had some stories concerning one big story here. So Arkansas has bans healthcare for trans kids after cruel lawmakers override governor's veto. Yeah, I mean, there was this bill, and I have reported on it that the Arkansas legislature had voted to ban trans healthcare for kids. But the governor actually vetoed it, saying it was too extreme. But they've overridden his veto. So now healthcare for trans kids is banned in Arkansas. I'm going to say it. I think that trans people need to get more militant. We need the trans equivalent to the Black Panthers. Or even maybe the Weather Underground. This is the kind of book, yeah. And also, right, those who go around screaming about, what about the kids? What about the kids? Yeah, well, people will be aware of Godwin's law, which is this thing that if you bring Hitler into a debate, you've lost the debate. Well, if you go about, what about the children? You've lost the fucking debate, in my opinion. Because how many of these fucking, Republicans who say, what about the kids, have actually spoken to the fucking kids? Again, they don't. They don't think that kids, have a grasp on these things when they do. I knew I was trans when I was 4, and I am not the only fucking trans person who knew that. Okay? Right? Fucking hell. there will be suicides in Arkansas due to this. Believe me, of trans youth. I'm just going to say it. You know, this is why we need to get Black Panther style. You know. So. So New York politician. Yeah. So this politician said that all gays suggested all gays should be sent to an island, and that they would die off within 40 years. This is New York, by the way. But supposedly it's a more liberal state. Even the Republicans are supposedly meant to be a bit more liberal. Doesn't fucking sound it to me. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Fucking hell. I mean, at least he's fucking resigned. At least he's been, forced to resign, possibly. But, yeah, good. But I'm sure there'll be another Republican somewhere saying just as much horrendous bullshit. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's still around. Lauren Bobbitt and, Kristi Noem. Just names come to mind who have all spouted homophobic bullshit. Anyways, some good news. So, yeah, the Biden administration overturns Trump's worst anti-LGBTQ policy for students. Okay, let's get into this.
The Department of Justice (DOJ) just issued a memo saying that Title IX bans anti-LGBTQ discrimination in schools, a sharp rebuke to the Trump administration's opposition to protections for students. The Trump administration spent 4 years fighting against the idea that laws that ban discrimination based on sex ban anti-LGBTQ discrimination, particularly in schools. But President Joe Biden appointed one of the chief legal advocates of that argument to a key position in his administration, and she's already working to restore LGBTQ rights. In 2017, then Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos issued guidance to schools saying that Title IX did not protect LGBTQ students, shortly after she and Attorney General Jeff Sessions revoked Obama-era guidance that said the opposite. Title IX bans discrimination based on sex in education. DeVos remained fiercely opposed to LGBTQ protections throughout the Trump era, even issuing a last-minute memo this past January begging Department of Education employees to keep anti-LGBTQ discrimination legal in schools as Biden took office at the time.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, she resigned. She was one of those who she resigned in protest to Trump being increasingly more fascistic. But she was okay with discriminating against LGBTQ people.
Even issuing a last-minute memo this past January begging Department of Education employees to keep anti-LGBTQ discrimination legal in schools as Biden took office at the time. The DeVos guidance move was one of the Trump administration's first attacks on LGBTQ civil rights protections implemented in the Obama era. While some federal courts had accepted the argument that discrimination based on sex necessarily includes anti-LGBTQ discrimination, because someone can't discriminate against LGBTQ people without taking sex into account, the Supreme Court had not yet ruled on the matter. Out Stanford law professor Pamela Karlan represented the plaintiffs in Bostock v. Clayton Co. The 6-3 Supreme Court decision last year that agreed with this position and said that Title VII's sex-based discrimination ban also protects LGBTQ people. Biden appointed Karlan to be Deputy Assistant Attorney General at the DOJ, after considering the text of Title IX, Supreme Court case law, and developing jurisprudence in this area.
Well, essentially, look, Biden is proving, that he is, pro-LGBTQ as he had promised, on the election trail. I have said this, you know, he gets a thumbs up from me when it comes to, you know, pursuing, you know, LGBTQ equality. Unfortunately, there isn't enough Democrat votes in the Senate, and not, you know, and certainly, you know, there aren't enough Republicans who are prepared to support the Equalities Act. But you know, that's not the fault of Biden. Okay, you know, that's sad. It's not going to get through. It's not going to get the Senate. You know, the Senate's not going to pass it, unfortunately. But everything else he has done, you know, when it comes to LGBTQ issues, I applaud. Right, there are steps in the right fucking direction. Generally, when it comes to Biden, you know, and this was from a few days ago, you know, yeah, it's a very different presidency to Trump, and a far better presidency. No golf trips, no insults, no racist rhetoric, no whining, no complaining, no bragging, no blaming, no hate speech, no crazy speeches. Tweets, sorry. However, he has bombed Syria. I have to give a thumbs down for that. You know, how about trying to, you know, foster some fucking peace there? That would probably be a better thing to do. And I mean, I would also say to the Republicans who seem to want to get back at Joe Biden by, you know, basically persecuting trans people, wouldn't it be better to sort of criticize him for, you know, military intervention in Syria? Yeah, yeah, trying to prevent the loss of life rather than encouraging the loss of life of trans people. Oh no, hold on, I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm talking about Republicans. They don't give a shit, don't do they? You know, they're just full of fucking hate. Anyways, a little bit of a shorter show tonight because I've been asked to go on to another podcast. Sorry, vlog. Sorry. Yeah, there we are. I've been asked to go on to another vlog, stream, whatever, to help someone out. And also tomorrow, right, I'm going to be on Kevin Logan's stream. I don't know what time he's planning on starting that, so I don't know if there'll be a show tomorrow. Hopefully, but I will definitely be back for Friday. Okay. You know, it's always really, at the moment, it's until the next time, because I don't know when the next time is actually going to be. You know, I'm quite a busy person. I'm becoming quite busy nowadays. Yeah. Anyways, if you like this video, give it a like. If you got any feedback, leave a comment down below. If you like what you hear here, please share this video on the link to this video on social media. And most important of all, please subscribe, particularly as I've lost a couple of subscribers recently, unfortunately. Anyways, until the next time, please take care of yourselves, stay safe, and peace out.